Hello and welcome to GVTV. I'm Shane Darby.
And I'm Alex Alvarez. GVTV will bring you all kinds of stuff, varieties, sports, opinions, you name it, we got it.
Grandview University is located in Des Moines, Iowa, just a stone's throw away from downtown.
Grandview is a four-year school who offers 40 undergraduate majors and 29 minors and much more.
Grandview hosts students from 30 different states and 11 different countries, just like me, from England.
And myself, El Salvador. Grandview was founded by Danish immigrants, and some of that history still persists today.
So let's throw it over to Ali Mershman, who's at the Humphrey Center, where it all began.
Hey guys, we're in the Humphrey Center, and it's actually 1947. Come check it out. These are what dorm rooms looked like back in the mid-1900s. This was their closet. Got a Letterman jacket, the bed, the dresser. It's all right here, preserved exactly how it used to look. This used to be the room of Alice Humphrey. It's set up exactly like she had it. The Humphrey building started off as the original college back in 1896 when Grandview was founded by Danish immigrants. Now the building is all administrative offices. No one actually lives here or takes classes here anymore. The Humphrey Center was constructed in 3 different parts, starting in the first 10 years Grandview was open. Grandview is really proud of their Danish heritage. There's a century worth of tradition on campus. This is The Rock. This is our students' very own billboard. They can put whatever they want, whenever they want. What should be next? GVTV? Up here, see the heads at the top? The one on the right is a man. He's got a mustache. He's looking out over the men's dorm. And the one on the right is watching over the women's dorm. The 3rd floor is rumored to be haunted, so make sure you're not there alone at night. Check us out next time whenever we explore the Rasmussen Center.
Thanks, Ali. That was a really interesting history lesson.
Indeed it was, Shane. I dare you to go to the 3rd floor by yourself at night.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Only if you hold my hand.
Moving on, Humphrey is definitely a one-of-a-kind building. You know what? We should go paint our names on the rock.
On the rock? Well, how about we go one step further and we carve our name in the rock and the date so it's there forever.
I like your thinking, my friend. I like your thinking.
Speaking of dates though, it is February.
We know what that means.
Valentine's Day.
True, but most importantly, Black History Month.
Oh, that too.
To show our support for Black History Month, we had our very own Chelsea O'Connor visit Fort Des Moines Museum.
Fort Des Moines is a very special place. It was the first place in Iowa to host black military officers way back in 1917.
That's right, you guys. I'm here at the Fort Des Moines Museum.
One of the interesting points about the legacy of Fort Des Moines deals with 2 groups, the black officers that trained out at Fort Des Moines in 1917 and the Women's Army Corps that trained out at Fort Des Moines in 1942. Now, with the black officers, about 25% of the men were actual Buffalo soldiers. And if you don't know the legacy of the Buffalo soldiers, after the Civil War, you had a group of African-American men that went out west to basically, and there's no other way to put this, but to crowd the Native Americans and push them as far off their land under the direction from the United States Army. And so the Native Americans who had never seen an African-American person before, the only reference they had was the buffalo. And so the men who had hair that looked like buffalo fur, and they were strong and they were courageous, so they called these men buffalo soldiers, okay?
Okay. Tell me a little bit about the black officers.
Okay, well the African-American men in their service in the United States military goes all the way back to the Revolutionary War. This gentleman here, this is Christopher Adams, and he was one of the foreman that was killed during the Boston Massacre, and he was also considered one of the rebel rousers. So African Americans have served in every major battle since the Revolutionary War. And this gallery looks at that history, that legacy of the African American soldiers.
What's so important about the White Sparrow expedition that took place in 1917?
Yes. Well, in 1917, during this expedition, the African American soldiers out at Fort Des Moines came to Drake Stadium, and they were primarily there to sing Old Negro spirituals. But what was very unique about this day was this was the first time in recorded Des Moines history that white and blacks came together, and they basically there was no segregation. They sat where they wanted to sit, and they could talk to whoever they wanted to talk to. So again, this was the first time in recorded Des Moines history that white and blacks came together, and they weren't bound by the chains of segregation.
Soldiers receive their ranks out of Fort Des Moines. And is it any different than how they receive them today?
Yeah, very much so. Back in 1917, especially with the African American soldiers, they didn't necessarily go by who was performing well. They basically went by how old you were and also how tall you were.
Tall?
So yes,
okay.
if you were tall and you were older, then you would become a captain. Now, if you were short and you were younger, then they would give you the rank of a lieutenant. And
okay.
so there was, and that's again very different than today.
Very different.
They go by your performance.
Yes.
And so yeah.
So this is France in 1917. What were the African Americans doing over in France at this time?
Yes, after their training out at Fort Des Moines, they were trying to get overseas, and they, of course, were wanting to get involved with the war. And unfortunately, the United States Army did not want the African American soldiers to be attached to them, and so they gave them over to the French.
Tell me about jazz music during World War I.
Yes, jazz music was very important to the Europeans, and it was really introduced to them by this man here. This is Lieutenant James Reese Europe. He was a jazz musician, and but he also, his primary function in the United States Army, he was a machine gunner. And so his function was to be a machine gunner, but also to create a band. And what he did was he would play wherever they were welcome. So say, for example, if the French welcomed him to play, and if you can imagine this, you're sitting in the foxhole, you're a German soldier or you're a French soldier, and you hear this strange music. And I want you to go ahead and push that button right there.
This one?
Yep. This is very early jazz music.
Okay.
And as I mentioned before,
Were there any important African American women during this time?
Yep. Well, during World War II, one particular woman was Edna Griffin. Edna Griffin served in the Women's Army Auxiliary Corps, and the Women's Army Auxiliary Corps was, the way it worked is, let's say you were living in Texas, or someone was living in a city,
okay.
and you would come in and replace the men. Now, African American women would replace African American men, and Edna Griffin signed up to go into the Women's Army Corps, where she would replace the men, and he would go fight off on the front line. Now, Edna Griffin came to Des Moines, Iowa in 1948 after the war with her husband Stanley, who was a doctor, and they went into downtown Des Moines. She went there with her daughter to get ice cream at the Cat's drugstore, and they were denied service because she was an African American woman. And she sued, and she won. Now, her lawyer, and we talked about him before, was Charles Howard. And during the trial, Charles Howard asked her why she stood up against the establishment, and she simply said, "I served in the Women's Army Corps, and no one should be able to tell me where I can and cannot eat." Now, years later, she would go on to become an incredible activist. There was rumors and stories of her laying down with the Quakers in front of the Army as they transported nukes and different things like that. So she was really significant, and she went from becoming a civil rights leader to a human rights leader.
So you've got a new exhibit for Black History Month, so why don't you tell me a little bit about that?
Okay, well, this new exhibit is called Not Just Black, Red, and Burl, and it's by Dr. Lewis. Dr. Lewis is a long-term educator in the Des Moines Public Schools, and he is a Vietnam veteran. And one of the things that we wanted to do was, this is a part of our Veterans and Soldiers Art Projects, where we're looking at veterans. And one of the things that we're learning about veterans is, they served in the military, And sometimes as art therapy or trying to really get through some of the things that they've seen and they were experiencing during the war, they turn to art. And so you have a lot of veterans that were artists. Well, this monument that you see here, this monument is called Victory, Victory, and it was created by African-American artist Richard Hunt. He was a Chicago artist, and they wanted to do something to honor the black officers in the Women's Army Corps. So if you look very closely, you'll see one V. One V represents the history and the legacy of the African-American men. The other V represents the history and the legacy of the women that served in the Women's Army Corps. And the flames that you see there, the flames represent the fire that these men and women had to leave everything that they knew and understood to come to Fort Des Moines, train in service and defense of the nation.
All right, GBTV, we all know it's February, and February has 28 days. Now, I'm gonna go around asking everybody how many months have 28 days, but the real trick is every month has 28 days. Now let's go, now let's go. How many months have 28 days?
Just February.
Is that the truth?
Oh no, I guess they all do. Duh.
How many months have 28 days?
Well, all of them.
I didn't get to ask first. Okay, we're gonna ask this first. How many months have 28 days?
How many? Well, all of them have 28 days.
The month of February.
Well, all of them contain 28 days within their 30 to 31 limit. But February this year only has 28. Am I wrong?
She's right.
Yeah.
You got it. All right, we got a real character right here. How you doing? How you doing, Justin?
I'm doing well, sir. I'm there. Thank you so much.
All right. How many months have 28 days?
How many months has 28 days? 1 month.
My man.
I mean, I'm an Aztec warrior, so I wouldn't know.
My man, every month has 28 days. If you think about it. How many months have 28 days?
1 February.
He's wrong.
What?
He's
Come
wrong.
on, man.
He's wrong. How many months have 28 days?
1. 3.
3? I think they're wrong. You're watching GBTV.
The Grandview student body is made up of 11 different nationalities, just like me, representing England. Lovely place, check it out. The men's volleyball team is our featured sports team of the month, and just like the student body, it is made up of different nationalities. Off the top of my head, Puerto Rico, Serbia, and America, and many others. But just like the student body, they all come together serving one purpose, for the benefit of the team, Grandview. So let's take a look at the men in action. Alvarez, also known as VJ, from Carolina, Puerto Rico. How are you doing today, VJ?
Good. Nice to meet you. It's a pleasure to be here with you guys today.
Thanks for being here. Okay, so right now you're leading the team in 2.67 kills per set. How does that feel?
Feels good. Feel that hard work is paying back.
Okay, so the team right now is 10 wins, 5 losses. Can you guys mount a serious challenge for the MCC Conference Championship?
Yeah, that's the main goal. Win the championship, go nationals, and see how it goes.
Okay, so what are your future goals for yourself and for the Grandview program in your remaining years?
I think the main thing is win the conference. That's the first thing, and then go nationals, win the championship, and for me, play professional. I think it's gonna be great, and I don't know, play sand volleyball maybe after I play professional.
So to play professionally, what country would you play professional in? Where would you like to play?
I would like to play in Europe.
In Europe?
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say something like Brazil, somewhere exotic. How come? Why Europe?
I think they have the best competition, so
Really?
I want to play with the best.
And you want to play indoor or on the beaches?
No, indoor.
Okay. You don't want the sand under your feet, the sun on your back?
Maybe after I done with indoor, I
Okay.
probably move to sand volleyball.
Okay. So now, how did you end up at Grandview? Tell us about your journey.
Everything started with when my coach went to the nationals. After the finals, he told me about play for Grandview, and I accepted.
Brilliant. Well, we're glad to have you here.
Yeah.
Okay, now tell me, obviously you miss your family back home, but apart from that, what else do you miss about Puerto Rico?
The main thing is the food and the weather.
Of course, the weather. The weather right here now is not too nice, is it?
No,
Snow.
it's too cold for me.
Do you even get snow in Puerto Rico?
No.
Never?
No.
Oh,
I think the colder is maybe 75.
You're kidding.
Yeah.
Can you take me with you next time you go back?
We can do it.
Okay. sounds good. Okay, so tell us about volleyball in Puerto Rico. Is it popular? Is it the biggest sport there or not?
I think it's the biggest sport right now.
Really?
It's big, and it's crazy how the people get in the games. It's so different than here.
Okay, so apart from missing volleyball back home, you must miss friends as well.
Yeah, my brother. I mean, my family is the first thing, so that's the most I miss.
Now, was it easy to change to being a student in America compared to being a student in Puerto Rico? Is it much difference?
It's different because, I mean, you get used to things, so it's different when you have to change everything, like start from zero again. But, I mean, that's life, so yeah, I have to keep going.
Well, it's a great attitude to have. Now, last but not least, the most important question of the day. What is your favorite animal?
I can say it's the lion.
Why? Why the lion?
It represents leadership, power, ferocity. So I describe myself like that when
really?
I'm playing and out of the game too. So.
Well, you got the hair like a lion's mane, so it's pretty cool. Now, can you roar like a lion?
Only when I'm excited in the games.
Are you excited now?
Yeah,
Can
but
we hear a little roar?
maybe next time.
Maybe next time, okay.
Next time.
Well, it's been a pleasure having you here today. Thank you very much.
Nice
that
to
was
meet you.
your monthly sports feature.
On this part of the show, we would like to take a moment and feature some of the outstanding work done by some of the communication students here at Grandview University. This piece was done by Dolly Pinniger and Evan Hay for Ritual Cafe, a cafe down in downtown Des Moines. Enjoy.
My name is Denise Diaz. I am co-owner of Ritual Cafe. I opened up Ritual with Linda in 2005.
Ritual Cafe is a little bit unique in that we are kind of identified as more of a cultural hub, and we encourage expression through art, through music, through visual art. We do poetry slams. So we're kind of a collective of the artistic folks.
I think our products make us unique. We're all vegetarian. Our specialty drinks are amazing. I don't know who else sells an horchata latte. And our staff is amazing. I think that everyone that works here makes the place, you know, with their unique personalities and whatnot, and they have a lot to offer.
One of the reasons I wanted to work at Ritual Cafe is because a lot of my ideals as far as workplace environment were in line with a lot of the aspects that Ritual Cafe offers as far as an employer. I like the coffee shop mostly for the wonderful employers, the great people I work with. I just generally have a passion for coffee.
So the coffee that we serve at Ritual Cafe it's an organic coffee that's roasted locally by another coffee shop, Zanzibar's Coffee. It's a medium roast, but we brew it pretty strong, so it's still full flavor. Very tasty. The house drip is probably one of my favorites. As far as the specialty drinks that we have, some of the more popular ones are the Mayan Mocha, which is made with Mexican chocolate.
Besides our fabulous coffees and teas, we offer microbrews and carry red wine and white wine. We carry a Chardonnay and a Cabernet Merlot blend, and then we also sell full bottles of a 14 Hands Cabernet. We carry so many yummy things, and we try to stick with local bakers. So most of that you see on the counter is from local bakers. Sweet Benny's, we get our muffins from, and pastries. We get a lot of pastries from Cafe Salzburg, and several small local bakers in town do scones and our vegan goodies.
Smoothies we offer are great. They're made with all natural fruit juice. Instead of dairy, we use hemp nut, which adds consistency as well as nutritional value.
We carry bread from South Union Bakery. It's the garlic focaccia, and we use that for all our sandwiches. Our cheeses come from a local place called Graziano's. We get all our sliced cheeses from them. When you walk into the Ritual, it's almost like you're kind of leaving the state for a little bit. You're experiencing a whole different environment. It's so important that people shop locally and support independent businesses, especially independent coffee houses. Always think local first.
That's some really good work, ladies, but you know what? It made me really thirsty. So, hey you, intern, give me your mocha, please. No whip. Thank you. Now it's time for our monthly segment called Opinion, and this week it features Evan Hay.
I'm Evan Hay, and this is just my opinion. But I've noticed that a lot of people that go to different colleges tend to get sports scholarships. And although I think that's a great idea, a lot of people go to college because of sports scholarships, I've also kind of realized that some people get full ride scholarships because of that athletic sport that they're involved in. Some people enjoy being in sports, and that's great, and I see that. But you can't get a major, you can't get a degree in basketball or football. There's tons of all sorts of health things they can go into, or sports management and things like that, and that's great. But why does someone get a full ride scholarship for sports or athletics and outside extracurricular activity when there are people in, say, a theater department or a biology department that have to put in a lot of schoolwork in order to get where they're going? Not to just pick on theater people, but they have to go through not only the physical stress of putting under going under all the production things they have to do for a play, but they have to go through the mental stress. They have to memorize. They have to work their brain. They have to exercise physically in order to have the sustainability to do a production every single night. And I'm not just picking on athletic people, because I know that they have talent. I've seen games, I've seen sports, and I think it's great. I think it's cool that they're passionate about that. But what about the people in the music department who work all the time, who strain their voices, who lose their voices, who constantly are putting in effort in memorizing their music, going to workshops to learn how to do it? Same with theater, going to workshops, meeting new people, networking, memorizing, and doing all the hard work. But why isn't there a full ride music scholarship? Why isn't there a full ride theater scholarship? Is it just because it doesn't bring in money? Because I think that an education is going to last you a lot longer. Why do they get less of an opportunity? Because they can only get, a little tiny scholarship, and maybe that's what they're surviving on, to be able to go to school. And here's my other point. Kids watch sports. Kids love sports. Kids have their heroes and their icons that are athletic, and that's great. But why would you aspire to be one thing when there's so many things in the world that you can do, so many things that you can be? When a kid sees someone on television, favorite baseball player, but then find out that he's been using steroids to do that, what does that even mean to a kid? That's going to say, to achieve the things that he did, I have to take steroids. No, we don't want to promote that to our kids. Or it's going to say, oh, well, he used steroids to do that. Means I can't do it. And that's not what we want to say to a society. And I'm not saying that sports constantly say that, either you can or you can't using drugs or not. There's plenty of great athletes that don't use drugs to enhance their performance. But the fact that they're so highlighted, the fact that people in athletics are so put on a pedestal for the world to see, for the world to worship almost. I'm not saying people in music or the artistic departments don't have their hand of trouble. They do. That's just my opinion.
Thank you for sharing your thoughts, Evan.
Some great opinions there on scholarships, sports, performing, but sadly this brings an end to this month's GVTV episode.
But be sure to catch us next month
on GVTV.